one by one, each new member is thrust to his knees and bows before the devil. A naked woman is ceremoniously assaulted with a dagger. The devil lays each initiate into a coffin, and a ribbon is tied to their genitalia. Everyone is encouraged to divulge their entire sexual life history whilst masturbating. With all their innermost secrets known to the other bonesmen, the new initiates are threatened with blackmail if they ever reveal the secrets of this Masonic order. At this point, they are dressed in long robes and rechristened with their occult names. The Don Quixote character taps each member on the shoulder with a silver sword and proclaims, "By our order, I dub thee Knight of Eulogia." We can exclusively reveal that George Bush Sr.'s occult name is Magog, which is the name of the evil army commanded by Satan to visit Earth and destroy the kingdom of Christ. The American Ivy League colleges each have their own branches of the Skull and Bones Brotherhood of Death, indoctrinating the children of America's elite families who go on to become the captains of industry, banking, law, military, and the media. The epicenter of this elite cabal is Yale University. The last 3 presidents attended Yale, as did the terrorist expert Paul Bremer III, who governs Iraq for the Bush-Cheney Skull and Bones elite. Members of the Anglo-American Illuminati network also share the same philosophy. They believe in a single, all-powerful superstate, which is governed by a single world leader.
If the Illuminati were successful, and their dream would come true, it would be a virtual hell on earth. That is what the New World Order is all about. It's a living hell. It's Orwell's worst dream and nightmare.
While the American people sing the Star-Spangled Banner, the most powerful people in the USA and Europe salute the ancient symbol of the Brotherhood of Death. In the book, Who's Who of America's Elite, the author has found that the Order of the Skull and Bones encourages its members to intermarry, thus keeping their spectacular wealth all in the family.
Good evening. Today, our fellow citizens, our way of life, our very freedom came under attack. America was targeted for attack because we're the brightest beacon for evil and the very worst of human nature. I've directed the full resources of our intelligence and law enforcement communities to find those who want peace and security in the world and to bring them to justice. We will make no distinction between the terrorists who committed these acts and the victims of the American economy. Our military is evil, and it's prepared. Our country is evil, deliberate and deadly evil. All that is evil, comforted by evil, and no one will keep that evil from shining. And on behalf of the American power greater than any of us, I thank the many world leaders who have called to offer their financial institutions and assistance. America and our terrorist friends and allies join with all those who want despicable chaos and terrible evil. And we stand together to win the war against all that is good and just. None of us will ever find those responsible. Thank you. Good night. And God bless.
the Skull and Bones was founded using money from opium. Retired Colonel Bo Gritz is a 33rd degree Freemason who interviewed Viet Cong soldiers after the Vietnam War, who told him that George Bush Sr. and Richard Armitage were at the head of an opium trading gang during the Vietnam War. Afghanistan is the world's largest supplier of opium, and since the US invasion in 2002, the growing of opium poppies has reached staggering proportions, with money from the British government being used by opium farmers to plant gigantic fields of poppies. The BBC confirmed in April 2004 that since the invasion and occupation of Afghanistan by British and American forces, poppy production has reached an all-time high. Bonesmen have never had such an ideal opportunity to follow in the footsteps of their forebears and start smuggling opium. The American and British war machines are commanded by men who have all sworn allegiance to the blood-curdling murderous demon gods of the Illuminati. They are sacrificing the lives of your sons and daughters on the altar of the all-seeing eye. The Skull and Bones secret society was originally called the Brotherhood of Death. George Bush Jr., his father George H.W. Bush, and his grandfather Prescott Bush have all been initiated into this macabre fraternity, which was established in 1832 at Yale University by William Huntington Russell, whose family were America's biggest opium smugglers. George W. Bush was initiated into the Skull and Bones Brotherhood of Death in 1968. The ceremony took place at the Society's headquarters, which is a stone building with almost no windows. This mausoleum-type building is known as the Tomb. There is a small enclosed courtyard, an internal chamber where initiates lay masturbating inside a coffin, and a museum of artifacts held sacred by the Society's members, which are all called Bonesmen, regardless if they are male or female. Many of the artifacts inside the Skull and Bones headquarters have been stolen by its members. To prove their devotion to the Brotherhood of Death, Bonesmen have robbed graves, bringing human skulls and skeletons back to their tomb and placing them in glass display cabinets. For nearly 40 years, George W. Bush has been an active member of this most bloodthirsty occult secret society. His allegiance is primarily to his fellow Bonesmen, not the American people. In order to prove his devotion to the Skull and Bones, Prescott Bush, grandfather of George W. Bush, savagely desecrated the grave of Apache Indian chief Geronimo. Prescott Bush robbed Geronimo's grave and had Geronimo's skull placed in a display case alongside the order's other treasured possessions, which include silver tableware from Hitler's Eagle's Nest headquarters in Nazi-occupied Austria. Welcome to the satanically inspired secret world of the Skull and Bones Brotherhood of Death. Welcome to the sick world of the Bush family. the Skull and Bones headquarters is on the campus of Yale University. Yale is home to several other lesser secret societies, including the Scroll and Key. Alexandra Robbins is an American journalist who has written a book about the Skull and Bones called Secrets of the Tomb. In her book, she traces the origins of this cult, which was funded from profits of the Russell Company in the early 1800s. The Russell Trading Company was nothing more than an opium trading empire, which, still to this day, is the corporate arm of the Skull and Bones Secret Society. William Huntington Russell had travelled in Germany during his student years and was befriended by a disciple of Adam Weishaupt's Bavarian Illuminati. Upon returning to the USA in the early 1800s, Russell used some of his family's opium wealth to fund the building of the tomb at Yale University. Russell initiated several of his fellow classmates, including Alphonso Taft, who would go on to become the Secretary of War and Ambassador to Russia. Alphonso Taft's son became President of the United States, and so a time-honored tradition of hereditary membership of the Skull and Bones Brotherhood of Death was begun. We see this tradition continued to this day, with senior Bonesmen encouraging young initiates to marry into each other's families, their sons and daughters following in their parents' footsteps and becoming disciples of this most unholy of orders. In the Hollywood movie Brotherhood of the Bell, we see an initiation ceremony, which is a common occurrence on the campuses of America's elite Ivy League secret societies.
Mr. Patterson, Philip Everest Dunning, Mr. Chad Harmon, Mr. Dunning. Mr. Dunning, the Articles and Letters of the Brotherhood. Do you swear that having been entrusted with these articles and letters since midnight this night, that you alone read them and did not communicate their content to any person whatsoever?
I so swear.
Having so sworn, are you now prepared to go forward?
I am prepared.
Mr. Dunning, for over 200 years, Brothers of the Bell have been initiated before the spell, and in the same ceremony, at sunrise. 22 years ago, Mr. Patterson stood due east in your place, and I became his senior, as Mr. Patterson is now yours. One day, Mr. Patterson will stand due south, and he will induct a Brother of the Bell, and you will become senior. See, in this fashion does the Brotherhood express its continuity. It will continue long after all of us are dead. But that continuity depends upon one thing: obedience. Absolute obedience. If and when you are ever called upon by Mr. Patterson to pay your due bill, you must comply, whatever is asked of you. Well, that bill may come due tomorrow, in 20 years, or never. It will not be a matter of money. It will be an act of fealty, of loyalty to the Brotherhood of the Bell. Now, if you require anything at all, get in touch with your senior, and he will see to it that it's arranged for you. Are you ready for the oath?
I am.
The oath, gentlemen. I, Chad Everest Dunning, do swear in absolute faith that I shall reveal no secret of the brotherhood of the hell, that I shall respect my brothers and myself, that I will act as they desire, secure their interests as if they were my own. And I pledge this, my honor, my fortune, and my life.
You know, I still find it incredible that I could get anything I want.
Anything a man could get with money, privilege, and the best connections.
You know, it just occurred to me that we're part of the establishment now.
Not part. The establishment.
In her fascinating book, American journalist Alexandra Robbins claims to have unearthed a skull and bones plan to dominate the world. One can't help recognizing the fact that in the 170 years since the formation of the Skull and Bones Society, it has members in the most influential jobs all over the world. New initiates seem to fall effortlessly into high-paid jobs within banks, media organizations, government agencies, and huge corporations which earn vast profits from government defense contracts. Some researchers claim that all members agree to tithe their wealth over to the society, thus ensuring that their offspring will become future initiates of the Brotherhood of Death. The Skull and Bones Brotherhood of Death recruits members from America's billionaire aristocracy. Multiple generations of the Bush family have taken part in 6 satanically inspired rituals, along with members of wealthy families who are behind some of America's most famous brand names. Based on the rituals of the German Bavarian Illuminati, the Skull and Bones have approximately 900 members worldwide. George W. Bush has initiated 5 fellow Bonesmen to join his administration, including William Donaldson, who is head of the American Securities and Exchange Commission. Upon initiation into the Skull and Bones, candidates are told that they must forever deny their membership. The psychological mind programming and brainwashing which goes on inside the tomb can only be guessed at, as no Bonesman has ever broken the fraternity's rule of silence. Fellow students at Yale have often said that on the night of ceremonies, blood-curdling yells and shrieks can be heard from inside the tomb. Some say the initiates are forced to wrestle in mud and are even beaten. This technique has been used by the CIA and EST brainwashing organizations who seek to wear down the subject mentally and physically using a program of punishment and verbal abuse. Once the will of the candidate has been broken, and they have divulged all their sexual secrets to the elder Bonesmen, they stand naked and are reborn in a mockery of a Christian baptism, with elder Bonesmen dressed as the Pope and the devil conducting the ritual. Ron Rosenbaum is a journalist who writes for the New York Observer. He secretly filmed an initiation ceremony from the top of a building near the Skull and Bones headquarters. Members of the order dress up as the devil, the Pope, and a kind of Don Quixote character. The Pope wears a white monogrammed slipper which rests upon a stone skull. Each initiate is led into a chamber where fellow members shout obscenities and abuse the new initiate. The initiates are told that they are superior beings and are part of a privileged elite who use war, terror and famine to control Earth's human population. This callous philosophy was illustrated in the Hollywood movie Skulls, made in 1999.
Over the years, there have been several break-ins at the tomb, which is the headquarters of the Skull and Bones at Yale University. The artefacts which have been found have included membership lists of another secret society which operates on the campus called the Scroll and Key. Now, it seems pretty obvious as we research this material that the Wolf's Head, Phi Beta Kappa, the Scroll and Key, and Skull and Bones are all different flavours of the same Bavarian Illuminati secret society. Well, to understand the philosophy of the Skull and Bones Society, you have to understand the philosophy of 18th and 19th century Germany with people such as Hegel. Now, the dialectic system, the dialectical political system, was not devised by Karl Marx. It was actually developed by Hegel, Fichte, and also contributed to by Kant. These German philosophers believed that you could create change in society by conflict. And this could be, for example, political conflict, the conflict between left and right. From this conflict, a new political system would come about, and this would be a synthesis of the two views. Now, that sounds pretty innocent, but in actual fact, the dialectical system is used in military combat as well. And Hegel's plan, which is being actually carried out right now, is to create conflict, to create wars. And through the creation of wars, several things happen. First of all, the companies which manufacture the missiles, the guns, the bullets, the uniforms, and all of the paraphernalia to do with warfare all make huge profits. Secondly, there is a culling of the male population. Since the 1950s, we've had several reports from think tanks that feed information into the European Union, the British government, and also the American government, which are recommending depopulation. And there is several plans which we believe have been put in motion right now. And obviously war is one way of depopulating the planet. Now, in addition to creating false conflict and engineered wars, the Hegelian philosophical system, which is being followed by the Skull and Bones Society at Yale and also the group at All Souls College at Oxford University, the Hegelian system also requires complete and utter obedience from everyone in society. The idea of freedom, freedom of thought, freedom of the individual to choose what they want to do with their lives doesn't come into play at all under this German Hegelian system. In actual fact, Hegel says that the individual should be 100% obedient to the state, and the state should take on the image of God. Now, in the Hegelian system, the state is all-powerful, so we should ask ourselves, what is the state? Well, the state is the elite. The state is the royal, aristocratic hierarchy who are able to maneuver and live their lives in any way that they choose because they are super wealthy. Now, let's just talk about super wealth and super wealthy people. I can tell you now, after meeting quite a few of them, that they are very, very different to you or me. When I'm talking about super wealth, I am not talking about Puff Daddy who has allegedly 3 Bentleys. I'm talking about super wealth, family wealth, which was in the millions back in the 19th century. Now, when we look at this hierarchy of aristocrats and royal families around the world, we can see that they are the state. They are the people that the robots, I call them robots, the civil servants, who run the machinery of the state. It is the civil servants who swear allegiance to this elite. When you join the British Civil Service, you do not swear an oath to serve the British people. You swear an oath to serve the monarch. It's the same when you become a spy. When you join MI5 or MI6 or any of the other DI or MI agencies, and there's many of them run by the British government, you are swearing allegiance to serve the reigning monarch, not the British people.
A major U.S. Daily story about subliminal messages. I don't think we need to be subliminal.
Television is a massive mass hypnotist to the global mind. And what happens is it is implanting a belief in reality by the minute, and then once we take on that belief implanted, when information enters the eyes, we edit it on the basis of that belief. And so what the global population is subjected to, suffering from, is actually literally mass hypnosis. And when we talk about people who kind of start to see things and see the manipulation they couldn't see before, what do we say about them? What do they say about themselves? They say, I woke up. Exactly what they've done. When people start to go, hey, I can see it now, it's like someone has gone along, like the hypnotist, and clicked their fingers, and it's like, oh, I can see it now. Mass hypnosis. And that is the greatest hypnotist on the planet, and that's the basis of why it was created.
A 49-year-old unidentified man went berserk last night.
Where does she get her view of the world?
Shotgun. 14 people are dead, including 3
Who will be her
children.
role model?
Never been a better time to buy.
What values will she have? Whose child is she? Yours or the network's? Take back your children. Turn off the TV.
And when you start to research the subliminals in advertising and television, what staggers you is not what they do and what's there, but the scale of it. I mean, it's like our consciousness is being hit by an explosion of this stuff. Because you see, this is another interesting point. Experiments have shown that about 1.5 seconds before the conscious mind decides to take action, move its arms or whatever, speak, 1.5 seconds before it consciously decides to do that, the electrical signals have begun in the brain to do it. For me, the conscious level is the experiencer an observer of reality, but the subconscious is the creator of it, the generator of it. And this is why the Illuminati want the subconscious mind through subliminals. What does subliminal mean? It means below threshold. It's below the threshold the conscious mind picks up, but the subconscious mind picks everything up like a sponge. And therefore they are planting these thoughts into the subconscious, which then filter down into the conscious, and we think we're having our own thoughts, when actually they're implanted thoughts done at a subliminal level.
Rats were caught in the sewers a week ago. Now they're stopped. When the plastic door is raised up, the rats will shoot out like bullets. It was a common punishment in Imperial China. No, we can do it. Do it, Julia! Not me! Julia!
And of course this is being used, this subliminal manipulation, in politics. I mean, of course we had that incident during the Bush-Gore farce of an election, when an anti-Gore political broadcast for Bush, they put a subliminal in of rats while they were talking, but they left it up too long, and you only had to play the tape back slowly, a little slowly, and up come rats as some anti-Gore statement was being made.